All right, beauties, we are on to highlighters. This drawer I feel like is slightly fuller than my blush and my bronzer drawers were. So I'm working again to try to get rid of half of everything, so we shall see what happens. So here is our before, and I will be RB. All right, beauties, we are diving into our highlighters. I'll go into probably the palettes first, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So first up, I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit with Nicole Guerrero. I've actually never used this palette, but I do want to keep it because I haven't tried it. And I like all the different shades that are in here, so I'm going to go ahead and hold on to this one. I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. This is the Sugar Glow Kit. It does have much bigger pans and stuff like that in it, but I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter it. I have used it quite a few times, but she still has lots of love to give, so she's a no. Next is my Jaclyn Hill, the Flash palette. She's a yes. Next is my Colourpop Champagne Bubbles. I've had this open for about 2 years. I did hit pan on it, and I have a backup, so I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. I'll just pass this along to a friend. Here is my backup of that one, the Colourpop Pressed Illuminator in Champagne Bubbles. I love that highlighter. Next is my NYX Diamonds and Ice Please highlighting palette. I have not even used this yet, so I'm going to hold on to this because I do want to test it out. Next up is my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Mini Sculpture Unlocked palette. And that is what this one looks like. I'm definitely going to keep this. And I'm going to hold on to the Hourglass Ambient Metallic Strobe Lighting palette. These are beautiful, you guys. Like, gorgeous. I'm also going to hold on to the Glowdient Makeup Palette from Touch and Soul. I've only used it one time, but it's super, super pretty, and I definitely want to get more use out of it. I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter every single one of these liquid illuminators, you guys. I know that sounds crazy, but they're just not products that I use all the time. I prefer a powder highlighter, and then you guys know I spray my complexion at the end of makeup application and kind of press everything out. That is my preference. There's nothing wrong with any of these, but I have an Iconic London one, an LA Girl one. I have the Milani Strobe Light and the No. 7 Skin Illuminator, so we're saying no to all of those. I'm also going to say no to the Glam Light Cookies and Milk highlighter. It's just a little bit too dark for me, and it's also a loose formula, which are also not my preference. Next up, I have this City of Light Illuminator. I got this from Avon, and it's supposed to be like very reminiscent of old school, like Victorian or vintagey style makeup. It is so stinking pretty, you guys. You just put the little poof in, and it's like super illuminating, but it's not chalky or weird or powdery or anything like that. It's so pretty, and I love the components, so definitely a yes. Next is my LA Colors Beauty in Bloom little highlighter. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. I have plenty, but this is a really good highlighter as well, and it's $1 from the Dollar Tree, y'all. Next up is this IBY Beauty highlighter in Private Jet. I think I have a couple of these, so I am going to go ahead and pass these along. Again, I have enough. I did get these in like Ipsy bags and stuff like that. And then the other shade is a little bit darker called a Radiant Glow, so I'm going to go ahead and say no to both of those. Next up is my Nabla. This is the Skin Glazing Glass Skin Finish Glow Powder in Privilege. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. This is something that I like, but is definitely not my favorite. When you do swatch it, it seems incredibly blinding, you guys. But then when you put it on the skin, it shears out so much that you really don't get a whole lot. And we don't have to beam from here to outer space. That's, you know, personal preference. But there are just others that I like a lot more than this. So we're going to say no. This is my NYX High Glass. This is not supposed to be in here. This is my NYX High Glass Finishing Powder in Light. I also have the medium, which I really love. So that's not supposed to be in here. Sorry about that. Next up is my Benefit Cookie Highlighter. Holy Grail status, you guys. This is the most beautiful, soft, wet, high shine, very in your face, very beaming type of highlighter, but it doesn't look chalky, it doesn't look heavy, and it doesn't emphasize texture or anything like that. It is stunning. Stunning. Definitely a yes. Next up is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Amore highlighter. Definitely keeping. Next up is my Artist Couture Diamond Luxe Luminizer in Haute Dam, like Haute Couture. I'm going to go ahead and say no to this as well, only because it has a little bit of like glitters in it. They're very small particles of glitter, but you guys know I do not like that. I like a wet skin, like beaming type of highlight, but I don't want chunkiness. I don't want glitter or anything. It is beautiful. I love the shade, but just because it has a little bit too much glitter in it for me personally, it's going to be a no. Next up is this Wonder Beauty, the Wondrous Glow After Hours Highlighter. This is a yes. It is beautiful. Next is my Kokie Cosmetics Soft Glow Highlighter in the shade Heavenly. Yes, it's a holy grail. It's beautiful. Next up is my Laura Geller. This is the Gelato Swirl Illuminator in Gilded Honey. I'm going to go ahead and say no and pass that along. Next up is my Ofra Rodeo Drive highlighter. They are some of my all-time favorite highlighters. They are fantastic, so yes. I'm also going to hold on to both of these as well. Those are yeses. And I also have the Sea Shimmer one. I think actually I'm going to go ahead and pass this one along. This one is more of like a pinky toned one. So as much as I love the Ofra highlighters and they are holy grail status for me, I am going to go ahead and say no to that. Next up is my Bare Minerals highlighter in the shade Free. Also a yes. This is a beautiful formula and I love the shade. Next up is my Too Faced Love Light Prismatic highlighter in You Light Up My Life. I freaking love the component of this. And this is kind of that really hard, kind of like baked formulation that like Amrezy and stuff is. It's super, super beautiful. I use that for when I'm more tan, like in the summertime. Next up, I have this Morphe Spark highlighter. That's a no. I also have the Fenty Beauty Kilowatt highlighter in Hustla Baby. That is a definite yes, and I'm almost at pan on this. So proud of myself. That is a beautiful highlighter. Next up, I have this Milani Champagne Dioro Baked highlighter. I've never even tried this, and honestly, I have enough highlighters, so I'm going to go ahead and say no. Next up is my Fenty Beauty Kilowatt highlighter in Afternoon Snack and Mo Honey. I really, really love her formula. This one can be slightly more glittery, but you guys know is not my favorite, but I think they're beautiful together as well. Next up, another Holy Grail status beautiful highlighter. This is the Jouer All Over Face and Body highlighter in Molten Glow. It's stunning, absolutely beautiful, so it's a yes. Next up is my Catrice More Than Glow highlighter in the shade Beyond Golden Glow. This is a yes. Next up is my She Glam Metallic Glow highlighter in the shade Call Me. I'm going to go ahead and say no. Next up is this little mini Becca in Capri Coast. I think I can go ahead and declutter this. I have plenty of kind of more deeper goldy or deeper champagne shades that I can use for like, you know, summertime. Next up, I have this Sophia and Maybelle, the Wet Glow highlighter in Frostbite. And this is a beautiful like putty highlighter. It's really, really pretty. So we're saying yes to that as well. Next up is the Super Shock Cheek from Colourpop in the shade Flexitarian. If you want super blinding, very, very wet, like beaming from outer space, but not chunky, not glittery, nothing. This is it. This is where it's at. Okay. And quite affordable drugstore pricing. So that is a definite yes. Wait, let me wipe my hand. If I keep going over here, you guys, it's because I have a towel right here. Next up is my Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. This is the Luminous Powder in Carrots. I don't use this as a highlighter so much so. I use it as like an all over kind of powder, and it just looks beautiful and just gives me like a really pretty luminous like veil to the skin, but it's absolutely stunning. It's kind of pricey though. I feel like the e.l.f. Halo Glow is kind of right there with it. You don't get like as much of this beautiful glow from it, but it's a beautiful kind of cheap dupe or alternative, if you will. Next up is this Figs and Rouge Glow Elixir. I am going to hold on to this only because I think it looks really beautiful when I mix it in with like my foundation and stuff like that. And I don't really have many of these types of products, so I'm going to hold on to it. Next up, I have the Becca Collector's Edition of the Champagne Pop. Another cult classic, beautiful, beautiful formula. And that packaging is to freaking die for. I got it in like the boxy pop-up, so very affordable. I have not opened it or used it yet, so I'm definitely keeping this and going to hold on to it. I will say if I do not use this or open it at all by the time I do my next declutter, then I think I need to go ahead and get rid of it. Next up is my Huda Beauty Nymph. This is the Skin Glowing Perfector, and I did get the shade Glaze. I used this with you guys. I did not think I was going to like it. I did not think that it was going to be the color I needed, but it is stunning. I definitely need to try to get more use out of this while I'm tan during the summertime, because in the wintertime, I'm probably not going to be able to use it, so we're keeping that. Next up, I have the Michaela and Glamlight Pressed Highlighter. I'm going to declutter this only because of the shade. And before anybody says, well, you could use all these for inner corner highlights. I have plenty of eyeshadows and plenty of other things I can use for inner corner highlights. I don't want to use a palette and then have to go into something separate for that inner corner highlight. But I do love the formula. It is a stunning formula. It's just not the shade that I typically go for, so that's a no. Next up is my Revolution and the Nightmare Before Christmas. This is the highlighter in Misfit Love. I'm going to hold on to this, of course, mostly for nostalgia purposes, but I also like it. Next up, I have this Trend Beauty Unicorn Dust Palette. I think because I have enough and I've already kept quite a few palettes, I am going to go ahead and declutter this one as well. Next up, I have an Ofra highlighter in Beverly Hills. I will hold on to this one as well. Next, I had the little Huda Beauty Light Glow Obsessions. This was like the little mini face palette. This is freaking gorgeous, so it's a yes. So we're keeping that for sure. Next up, I have my Complex Culture Good Lighting Highlighting Duo, and it is a Luxe Cream to Powder formula. I've actually only used this, I think, 1 or 2 times, so I really do want to keep it and get a little bit more use out of it. And again, if I don't use it enough by the time I have my next declutter, then I'm going to go ahead and declutter it at that time. Next up, I have my Gourmand Girls. I do have a code. It'll be right here. This is the Bold and Brilliant Highlighting Palette. I love this palette. I have used it quite a bit. I love that it's quite inclusive. It works well. It lasts on the skin all day. It doesn't look chalky or heavy or anything. So I really, really love this palette a lot. And then last but not least for our highlighters is the Laura Lee Los Angeles Glazed Lit Kit. I freaking love this formula, and I also love all the different shades that are in here as well. Beautiful formula. Again, not chalky, patchy, dry, not heavy, not glittery or anything like that. So I think I did pretty darn good, y'all. I am super proud of myself. How do you think I did? Of course, we will count everything up, and I will pop up everything that I kept and the number that we decluttered. Thank you, beauty, so much. I love you. Stay happy, healthy, and safe, and be your own best beautiful. Bye, beauties.